what is the best foods to eat before and after a game, which I thought was quite topical for what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That feeling for performance and recovery that you mentioned.
We generally recommend at least about 7 to 8 grams per kilogram of body weight of carbohydrates on your game day. So if we're thinking about someone, me is about 70 kilos, that might be about 400 grams of carbs. And to put that into perspective, if you have like 4 slices of bread, that might give you about 50 grams of carbs. So it is about trying to start earlier. So we sort of say about 24 hours in advance, we want to be increasing our carbohydrate intake. And usually that means reducing things like our excess fatty foods. So we might choose a lean meat option. So about 3 to 4 hours before the game, we're aiming for sort of half our plate filled with carbohydrates. And depending on your body weight, that might be, probably 1 to 2 grams per kilogram body weight of carbohydrates there. Still a bit of protein to keep you full and satisfied and not hungry during the game. And then as you might be leaving for the game, might have a quick jam sandwich, some 2-minute noodles. And then when you get there, just a banana or starting to sip on a Gatorade to top you off.
I'm currently 63 to 65 kilos and struggle to put on weight. I would like to know how to increase my weight for muscle development.
It's really important to be organised and as structured as you can be. And again, it might just be more small, frequent meals. And then making sure every time you're eating, it's something that's got a high carbohydrate, fat or protein source in it. So if you're sitting down to, say, your typical sort of steak, veggies, potato meal, your steak might have some gravy on it. You might put some extra olive oil, so higher calorie source of fat on your veggies. And then you might, have a bit of parmesan over your potatoes. So those small changes might add an extra 200 calories to your meal, which means you don't have to go and eat an extra snack. So it's using those kind of sneaky additions and high energy foods. It could be swapping from potatoes to swapping to pasta. So those kind of small shifts can add up across the day. And then little things like swapping skim milk to full cream, your skim yogurts to full cream.
What about hydration for athletes that are listening and try and get the balance right between staying well hydrated, that performance mindset, but then also maybe they've experienced when they've overhydrated?
I actually had a really good example of this season where we had quite a senior player who thought that maybe he was overhydrating, and we call it sort of clear urine. So if it's clear, you're probably going to the toilet too much. We do want that kind of like straw color, and was waking up multiple times during the night. And then, still, even though he was hydrating, just felt like he was dehydrated because he was probably flushing out some of his electrolytes. So we went more on a bit more of a structure with his game day plan and added in things like electrolyte tablets the day before and like your no sugar options to help with added sort of sodium and potassium to hold on to that water, and then timing it around meals as well. If you're eating those carbohydrates, they hold on to water too, so they can cellularly sort of hydrate you as well. And then it's just that volume. So it might be that, instead of 6 litres, you're stripping it back to 5 and seeing how that feels.
Some common ones that I guess you've had to educate developing footballers on, to ensure that they are getting that peak performance and looking after their health.
I think the number one is that sugar is the devil. A lot of them come in and, maybe they've seen the I Quit Sugar film or whatever it was in school. So we see it as a way to improve performance and utilizing it. In that sense, it's fast fuel. It's going to be really easy to digest and for your body to access, so you can maintain your performance in training and games. So there is an element where that sugar is really important, and it's what our body is going to break down and use quickly. But if we try and only rely on our whole foods, so only potato and only fruit, we're going to be really full from all the fiber we're going to eat, and we're not going to be able to hit those total carbohydrate amounts. So it's about educating that we need a mix of both. Probably 80% of our diet's going to be those really wholesome foods that provide us lots of other nutrients. And then that sort of 20 and 30% might need to be more of those higher, more processed foods. And that could shift on a game day. That might be like 60-40 in the other direction. And then on a recovery day, it might be the other way, like a 90-10 approach.
And what about, on that supplements, I guess, what's some of your go-tos? What are some things that footballers should be aware to perhaps avoid or, just be aware of when bringing supplements into their nutrition?
I think probably the main one is, you want to make sure it's batch tested. So it A lot of the leagues, regardless of level, are getting drug tested now. So you want to make sure you're taking something that's safe. Even if you're not getting drug tested, you want to make sure that you know what's actually in the product. So working with those trusted brands and making sure you've got that sort of certificate. Not everyone needs to be on supplements. I think that's the main thing. That's sort of what we call like the sprinkles on the top of the cake. There's no point just starting with supplements if you don't eat regularly or you're not getting that timing right. You're probably not going to get the benefit. It's a 1 to 3% increase, where getting your food right might be like a 20% increase. So with your supplements, the most common ones that we sort of use that are really have a strong evidence base, things like your creatine, so that's going to help with your muscle mass growth and your strength and performance. Same with your beta-alanine as well. We also use things like your nitrates, so your beetroot juice, which helps to increase your oxygen delivery around your body, so it increases the size of your blood vessels. So in theory, you're probably going to have, be able to go a bit harder for a bit longer.